Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the class on the life of Sri Sarada Devi. We're reading from the book Sri Sarada Devi, Her Divine Play by Swami Chetanananda. And the mother is speaking. Sometimes I see the master has become everything. I see the master in whatever direction I look. I see him in the blind and the lame. He has become everything. The beings are not suffering. It is he who is suffering. So whenever people cry to me, I rush to deliver them. Here people ask me to sleep. How can I sleep? I think the time I shall spend in sleeping is better spent doing japa that will benefit human beings. Imagine, mother wouldn't sleep. She would spend time doing japa. Now, those who were her followers, Swami Swahananda, he would do the same. Those who took care of him and spent time in his room during the latter part of his life found that he would wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and would be doing japa for his disciples. So how great is their sacrifice? The mother again, mother speaking. The other day I saw that Radhu was about to kill an ant. I stopped her. I saw the master in that ant. At any rate, how many people can I see? The master left the responsibility for all on me. It would be nice if I could look after everyone. Well, now, of course, she's no longer limited to the body. And so indeed, she can look after everyone. And she says, remember, when you are in distress, remember you have a mother. She invites us to call on her. Now I'm going to tell you a private story, just to let you know that I'm not just blowing smoke at you when I talk about calling on mother. When I came here 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, I had recently had a back surgery. By recently, I mean a little more than a year before. Because of the death of my late wife, I could have, but I didn't, do the physical therapy that I should have done to attend to the proper healing of my back after the surgery. So when I got here, often I was in great pain. Just getting in and out of a car, I would cry out. Sometimes it would take me 5 minutes to get out of bed in the morning. because the pain was so great. So I began to tell Mother, Mother, if I'm to do this work, I can't do this with this pain. I can't do it. It's too much pain. Now, I was a member of Kaiser, and so I went to the allopathic doctors at Kaiser and told them about the pain also. The master says the doctors are the divine being. The doctors are Ishvara. So ultimately, after some investigation, I was prescribed those shots in your lower back. It's a cocktail of stuff that is injected. There were 3 prescribed. I had the first 2, but then my back became, the doctors can't explain what happened. I can bend down and touch the floor. There isn't any pain at all. Before, I couldn't have done that at all. The doctors say there's no way the shots could have done that. They provide some relief. So I'm telling you this story so that you'll know that when I say, if you call on the Mother, something remarkable can happen. I know, so I'm one out of a half a dozen instances that I know of. There are 5 other instances that I know of devotees who have come to me and said, this is the situation, what should I do? And I've told them, call on the Mother. Get a picture of the Mother if you don't already have one, and sit down every morning, and which is what I did. I did it in the shrine here. This little shrine, of course, wasn't set up then. So Sri Sarada Devi said, when you are in distress, remember you have a mother. And when Sri Ramakrishna was still in the body, and people would come to him with worldly issues, he would say to them, oh no, don't talk to me, go and talk to Ramlal's aunt, which is what he called Sri Sarada Devi. Go talk to Ramlal's aunt in the Nahabat. He even came to people after he left the body, when they were calling on him in this way, and said, go to the Mother, go to the Mother, talk to the Mother. Now, they say they're one and the same being, but they're in 2 different forms for 2 different purposes. So when Mother says it would be nice if I could look after everyone, how heartfelt that was if she was spending her nights not sleeping but doing japa. When she says it would be nice if I could look after everyone, you can believe that now she is able to look after everyone. So, having told you that personal story and said these other things. Before we go on, are there any comments or questions? Anything at all in response to what was said? What she said or what I said? There's something that is Barton Smith to everyone, or I couldn't read what that chat said.
Oh, it's okay. Haima just referred us to page 341.
In this book?
Yes, yes. Showed where we were beginning, and I said thank you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And namaste to everyone.
Namaste, Bart. So, anything else?
I have one small question.
Yes, Sham.
Every person needs some sleep, minimum sleep, like 6 to 8 hours a day. How can Holy Mother manage with very little sleep?
Because she was not a human being, Sham. This is the thing. She was embodied as a human being and therefore had to suffer as a human being. But when she needed to, or wanted to, she could simply be her divine self. She wouldn't normally exercise that power. For herself, she apparently never exercised that power to prevent her body from suffering, her illnesses, her experiences with her relatives, and so on. There's that one instance when she was being really threatened and harassed by a crazy man. She had said she took her terrible form, Bagala, and corrected him. But very seldom would she use her divine power on her own behalf. But she would do it, as did the Master, on behalf of their disciples and loved ones. If you remember the story of Sri Ramakrishna, he was just days away from death. Days away from death. And the young men who were taking care of him had gone down and were sitting around a tree. This was at Kashipur Garden House. Or sitting around a tree. And a black cobra was coming toward them. Now, there are apparently some snakes who will actually attack you. Black cobras are apparently among them. This is in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and it's told in more detail in the Great Master or the Master's Divine Play. Sri Ramakrishna, who was at that point hardly able to move if he was behaving as an ordinary human being, got up from his bed, ran downstairs, and in a form that the young men couldn't see him, but the cobra could, and he told the cobra, he didn't kill it, he didn't harm it, he just told it, go away and don't come back. And it obeyed him. As he was coming back up the stairs to the upper level of the Kashipur Garden House, Mother saw him. She had come to tend to him and saw him coming up the stairs. And he said, "Oh, you have seen." And then he got in the bed and resumed his human aspect. So that's how, Sham, she could be without sleep.
Thank you.
Swahananda, toward the end of his life, in the last 4 or 5 years of his life, he died in October of 2012. In the last 4 or 5 years of his life, he also slept very little. Mm. I don't know whether it was that he couldn't sleep or just didn't sleep. But he was also very much a child of the mother. As a matter of fact, his father was a direct disciple of Holy Mother, and Mother told his father that one of your sons will become a monk, an important monk of the Ramakrishna order. And that turned out to be Swahananda. Any other comments or questions? Please, this is wonderful.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, Swayam.
I also read that Swami Vivekananda appeared also to this little boy. There was a family living in US, and then I think the older brother playfully pushed the younger one into a swimming pool, and he was kind of struggling, and he saw a figure, a royal looking figure that gave him a hand, and basically he was rescued. And then many years later, when he grew up, and his mother went to attend the World Parliament of Religions and took him. And as soon as he saw Swami Vivekananda on the stage, he said, that's him who came and saved me.
I have never heard that story. That's priceless. Could you email me information about where to find that story, dear?
Absolutely. I think I read it in Autobiography of Yogi. So the story goes that he approached Swami Vivekananda and asked him, that part I'm forgetting, whether it was in the dream or face to face. And he was told, no, I'm not your guru will come to you. And this person then went on and then had an encounter with Paramahans Yogananda,
I
and
see.
then ended up becoming his disciple, something like that. But the savior was Swami Vivekananda.
I see.
I'll find it out and forward it to you.
Okay. Thank you, dear. And thanks for the comment. Anything else from anyone? Okay. So let's see how we're doing for time. Oh, good. It's still early. So going on with the reading, now it's no longer Mother speaking. Soon the sounds of the Vesper bell and conch reverberated in the temple, and the mother left to attend the service. Another afternoon, Ashu went to the Holy Mother to help her answer the devotees' letters. In the course of the conversation, she inquired about the distance to Rameshwaram. How far is it to Rameshwaram? How many days does it take to reach there? Ashu understood that the mother wanted to visit. So he said, Mother, let us go to Rameshwaram. One can go there by this rail route. Shashi Maharaj, Swami Ramakrishnananda, is in Madras, and he will arrange everything. For those of you who know about Swami Ramakrishnananda, he was very good at arranging everything. Holy Mother was as excited as a little girl and said, You have given the right suggestion. My father-in-law went there and brought back the Shiva linga that is worshipped in Kamarpukur. I shall go. She was as excited as a little girl. It seems that the mother had been thinking of this pilgrimage for some time. Probably she was drawn to see a place that had been important in her past. Probably she was drawn to see a place that had been important in her past incarnation as Sita. When letters were sent to Swami Ramakrishnananda, to Swamis Brahmananda, Saradananda, and Ramakrishnananda, informing them of the mother's wish to go on pilgrimage, they immediately approved it. Of course, they were also concerned about her health, as she had gone to Kotar to recuperate. But in fact, she now felt well. Swami Saradananda sent sufficient money to Kotar through Kishori Roy so that the mother could travel with her party. Swami Ramakrishnananda, who was in charge of the Madras Mat, made elaborate arrangements for the mother's journey and reception. He had always cherished a desire to sanctify South India by bringing Holy Mother and Swami Brahmananda there because Ramakrishna had never been there himself. Holy Mother asked Dhirananda to write to Ramakrishnananda and tell him that as the distance between Kotar and Madras is long, it would be better if she could break her journey somewhere en route. As justification for Holy Mother's request, Dhirananda wrote, "First, she performs daily worship to the Master, as if Mother's actions needed to be justified. But nevertheless, this was a request being made of Ramakrishnananda to elaborate his already elaborate arrangements. So Dhirananda wrote, first, she performs daily worship to the Master. Second, she might get rheumatic pain if she sits long hours on the train. And moreover, Radhu might be restless. We feel it would be better if the mother could break her journey at Behampur, is that right?
Yes,
In
Ganzam, in Ganzam.
Ganzam, a border town between Orissa and Andhra Pradesh. It would be wonderful if you could find someone there who could host the mother and her party for a day. The mother further advised me to inform you that it is not necessary for you to come here to accompany her as we are all going with her. Accordingly, Ramakrishnananda arranged for Holy Mother and her party to spend a night at the home of a Bengali devotee who was the manager of the Kelter Company, the caterer for the railways. Finally, the date of the departure from Kotar was fixed Wednesday, 8 February 1911. Surabala had earlier returned to Jairambati because of her mental illness, but the mother sent Ashu to bring her and also Kedar Datta's mother to go with her to Rameshwaram. The party left at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and arrived at Badrak in the evening. Ramlal was waiting there to join them. The party consisted of 13 members: Holy Mother, Radhu, Surabala, Golapma, Krishna Bhavani and her sister-in-law, Nita's mother, Kedar's mother, Swamis Atmananda and Dhirananda, Ashu, Ramlal, a Brahmin cook named Gadadhar, and a woman attendant. After eating supper at Badrak, the mother boarded a second-class compartment on the Madras mail at 2:30 in the morning. Oh my. At dawn, when the train was passing near the Chilka Lake, Holy Mother was delighted to see flock after flock of white cranes flying, then landing on islands in the lake to search for food. With the sunrise, that must have been quite something to see. That was one of the things, if you remember, those white cranes are so magnificent. It was when the Master was only 10 or 11 years old. He was in the fields there at Kamarpukur, the rice fields, and there was a dark thunder cloud, dark rain cloud, very black cloud, and the white cranes flying against it caused his mind to soar. And that was his first experience, by his own testimony, his own experience of samadhi. So I'm sure that that was in the mother's mind when she was seeing these white cranes also. With the sunrise, a mist taking various forms rose from the water. The mother enjoyed the natural scenery and pointed it out to others. When she saw a flock of
Nilkantha.
Nilkantha birds, what are Nilkantha birds?
I don't know what it is. Nilkantha birds.
Does anyone know what is a Nilkantha bird? Well, apparently they have some holy significance.
Yeah,
When
this
she-
is Brother Shankara. This is a bird whose throat, this neck is blue,
I see.
and it is
So like Shiva's neck.
just like Shiva. So it symbolizes like Shiva.
I see.
It's called
Thank you.
Nilkantha.
Nilkantha. Okay, Nilkantha birds. Okay. So when she saw a flock of Nilkantha birds, she saluted them with folded hands. And the reason, of course, is that they are emblematic of Shiva. The train arrived at Barampur at 8 o'clock in the morning. The Bengali devotee received Holy Mother and her party and took them to his house, where Holy Mother and her party ate lunch and rested. In the afternoon, several local devotees visited her, bringing bananas and coconuts, as was their custom. We're now in South India, and of course, bananas and coconuts are plentiful. Can you imagine the joy of that devotee? Can you imagine the joy and elation that he would have felt and his whole family would have felt at hosting the Holy Mother in her party?
So here's the bird, how it looks like.
Okay, I can't see it, but thank you for showing it to everyone else. That's the Nilkantha bird.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's Shailesh, I guess, huh?
It seems like it's only it's found in only South India.
No doubt there are. I hope they're still plentiful. So the party stayed the night and then took another Madras mail in the morning. So Mother was able to break her journey, and who knows what Mother's motivations were. I mean, the Dhirananda speculated on them and wrote its justification, but who knows what was in Mother's mind. It may have been simply to reward this particular devotee for Lord only knows what reason, you know, to grace his house with her presence, and that place with her presence. Who knows what her motivations were? Doubtless, you know, it was very comforting to not have to ride the train for so many hours continuously, but and take that break. But she doubtless had other. So the party stayed the night and then took another Madras mail in the morning. In the afternoon, when the train was passing through Waltar,
It's Voltaire.
Waltaire, a health resort, Holy Mother saw the beautiful cottages on the slopes of the mountains. She joyfully exclaimed, "Just see, it looks like a picture." Yes, indeed, I'm sure she'd seen pictures of such things, and I'm sure it was postcard perfect, yes. The village against the slopes of the mountain. She joyfully exclaimed, "Just see, it looks like a picture." At night, the mother slept on the upper bunk of the compartment. So, I don't suppose that Madras mail coach was sequestered by that Bengali devotee who worked for the railroad, but it would be wonderful if you could visit that particular coach. At Madras, The train reached Madras at noon the next day, Saturday, 11 February 1911. Ramakrishnananda and some local devotees were at the station with their automobiles, and they received automobiles. It says automobiles, 1911. And they received the mother and her party with great enthusiasm. Holy Mother rode in an automobile for the first time. Oh my. February 1911. As her seat was hot because of the sun, Ramakrishnananda wiped the seat repeatedly with a wet cheddar. A two-story building named Sundar Villas, is that right?
Yes.
Sundar Villas,
Uh-huh.
now 221 Ramakrishna Math Road, which was opposite the Madras Math, had been rented for her. Special food arrangements had been made for the mother and her companions. As I said, Ramakrishnananda was nothing if not a detail man. He's the one who designed and wrote and specified the worship, the formal worship of the master, the 5-item, 10-item, I forget how many different variations there are, but he wrote all of that. He created all that and wrote it all out in great detail, so that now it can be followed precisely. It's tantric in its roots and so on. Ramakrishnananda was a remarkable soul. Ramakrishnananda collected various kinds of vegetables, fruits. What is that word?
It's
Papadam, and other things from Madras, Bangalore, and Trivandrum. It is natural that we love to feed and serve. Yes. It is natural that we love to feed and serve a person whom we love. At Holy Mother's request, Ramakrishnananda took his lunch and dinner at the mother's place while she was there. I'm sure she loved him because he was so devoted to the master. That's why he was called Ramakrishnananda. So devoted to the master, and you know, it was he was sent to the south to start the work there in Madras, because he so embodied the virtues of the master, his renunciation, his dedication. One time Ramakrishnananda, he was scheduled to speak, and there was no one in the hall. And just at the last minute, someone came in, and they found him at the lectern ready to start his talk. And Ramakrishnananda, the devotee, asked, "Well, Swami, why were you going to do that?" He said, "I was scheduled to talk. I said I was going to talk. I would have talked, even if there was no one there," which is how he was taught by Sri Ramakrishna. If you say you're going to do something, you do it regardless. Of course, that's very hard for us, but nevertheless, you know, it is the ideal. Oh, I'd forgotten this aspect. Ramakrishnananda was then not well at all. Since March 1910, he had been suffering from severe complications of diabetes, and toward the end of that year, his feet were aching because of a minor accident. Moreover, in the beginning of 1911, he developed tuberculosis and was suffering from cough and fever. But the disease was diagnosed only after Holy Mother returned to Calcutta from her South Indian pilgrimage. And Mother didn't contract it. You know, as we know, tuberculosis is transmissible. I'd forgotten that aspect of this. Ramakrishnananda, however, forgot his body and served the mother along with his assistants and her devotees, including Ramaswamy Ramanuja,
Swami.
Rangaswamy, Gopalan, and others. The mother and her party stayed in Madras for nearly a month. During the day, the Swami stayed at the mother's residence like a gatekeeper. Ah, yes. During the day, the Swami stayed at the mother's house, the residence like a gatekeeper. He would ask her, "Mother, please let me know if you need anything or have any difficulties." Although the Madras Mat was suffering financial difficulties at that time, Ramakrishnananda lavishly spent money for the mother's pilgrimage in South India. He was able to do this by collecting funds from the devotees to make the mother's stay and pilgrimage in the South comfortable. You know, he wouldn't have otherwise asked for money, though the Mat was having difficulties, and that continued for some time. It actually continued until Brahmananda came, and things changed after that. Before the mother arrived, Ramakrishnananda wrote to Dr. P.O. Venkatranga of Bangalore on 2 February 1911. "My dear doctor, a very happy news for you. Our most holy mother is on her way to Rameshwaram. She is coming here to bless all of you. You should not lose this very rare and unexpected opportunity to worship the motherhood of God in her. She is your real mother." Now, over and over, we hear this refrain. Let's take it to heart. This is our real mother. She said so herself. Thakur said it. Here is Ramakrishnananda saying it. She is your real mother. Come and be blessed by her. She is expected here on the 11th of this month. Please collect as much money as you can from your friends and admirers of our mission. We shall have to meet the expenses of a large party consisting of 10 souls. See that our Holy Mother does not lack for anything. Feel within your being that she whose responsibility is on, feel within your being that the whole responsibility is on you and you alone. It is so fortunate that you are to have the Mother of the universe at your very door! Exclamation point. It is so fortunate that you are to have the Mother of the universe at your very door. Come to worship her as soon as she places her holy feet on this soil. With my best love and blessings, yours affectionately, Ramakrishnananda. Holy Mother's visit created a festive atmosphere in Madras, and many people came to see her from different places. She initiated many devotees, including Brahmachari Amritananda, an American. She initiated many devotees, including Brahmachari Amritananda, an American. Neither the mother nor her new disciples understood one another's language, and yet they were able to follow her instructions regarding japa and meditation without the help of an interpreter. Again, Mother's extraordinary power. She simply communicated non-verbally to these people. In general conversation, however, her attendants helped her communicate. Several of the new disciples had seen the Master and Holy Mother in dreams. Several of the new disciples had seen the Master and Holy Mother in dreams. Holy Mother said later, when asking for initiation, They all just repeated the word dream. About her Madras trip, she later recalled, "Many people visited me there. The women of those parts are very educated. They asked me to deliver a lecture. I said to them, I do not know how to deliver lectures. If Gordasi, Gorima, had come, she would have been able to do so." And if you know the story of Gordasi, Gordasi was very verbal, sometimes to an excess. Nevertheless, I'm sure that Mother said that affectionately, not teasingly. Almost every afternoon, Swami Ramakrishnananda arranged visits for Holy Mother to places of interest in Madras by horse carriage. Holy Mother visited the famous, somebody say that word?
Parthasarathi.
Parthasarathi temple in Tripoli?
It's a triplicane.
Triplicane.
And
And the Kapileshwara Shiva temple in Mylapore. One day she walked on the beach and saw the Madras Aquarium. Another day she visited the British fort in Madras by rickshaw, which had been recently introduced in the city. One day, women teachers of the girls' school sang some Tamil devotional songs to her while the girls played violins. That must have been quite a lovely occasion. On 2 March 1911, the mother attended Ramakrishna's birthday anniversary celebration. On Sunday, 5 March 1911, she attended the public festival. The mother was moved by the devotion of the South Indian devotees. In Madras, Nita's mother was stricken with typhoid fever, so Mother's pilgrimage to Rameshwaram was temporarily postponed. When it was understood that it would take a long time for the patient to recover, and because Ramlal's vacation was limited, it was decided that the mother's pilgrimage should not be delayed. A nurse was engaged to look after Nita's mother, who stayed in Madras. Holy Mother and her party, including Ramakrishnananda, left Madras on 11 March 1911 by night train and reached Madurai in the morning. Rao Sahib K.V. Brahmachari,
yes, Ramachandra.
the chairman of the local municipality, hosted Holy Mother and the group. So that must have been a great honor for that person. At Madurai and Rameshwaram, Holy Mother and her party went to visit the famous, oh my goodness, somebody please say that.
Meenakshi. It's Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple.
Okay.
Meenakshi Sundareshwara.
Located in the holy city of Madurai. The temple is dedicated to the Divine Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva, and it is the heart and lifeline of the 2,500-year-old city of Madurai. That temple is the heart and lifeline of the 2,500-year-old city of Madurai. The temple complex contains 14 magnificent towers, including 2 golden towers for the main deities that are elaborately sculpted and painted. The temple, which has 5 entrances, covers an area of 842 feet long by 792 feet wide. In other words, nearly 3 football fields. 300 feet is a football field. Nearly 3 football fields long by about 2/3 of that wide. So it's huge. That's amazing. Whew. It covers an area of nearly 3 football fields long by nearly 800 feet, so nearly 300, nearly 900 feet wide in the north-south direction. The tallest temple tower is 170 feet high. Now, if you can imagine the architectural skill of people who were able to build this temple, you know, we marvel at the and rightly so at the skill of the builders of the great houses of worship of Europe, you know, the cathedrals and so on. But this dwarfs those by some extent, and 170 feet. Just think, 10 feet is a story of a building. So, you know, that's how stories of a building are measured. So 17 stories. The 4-foot high image of Mother Meenakshi, decorated with clothes, ornaments, and garlands, is gorgeous. The 4-foot high image of Mother Meenakshi, decorated with clothes, ornaments, and garlands, is gorgeous. Now, is Meenakshi a form of Parvati? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
He is Shiva's wife.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sure that is gorgeous. Meenakshi Temple in Madurai. My goodness, so complex. There's a picture in the book. I'm looking at it. Holy Mother and her companions bathed in the Shiva Ganga, a pond adjacent to the temple, and they visited the deities. Afterwards, following the local custom, everyone in the party lighted lamps on the bank of the Shama Ganga. Was that right? No, Shiva Ganga. Shiva on the banks of the Shiva Ganga in their respective names. Okay, following the local custom, everyone in the party lighted lamps on the banks of the Shiva Ganga in their respective names. During Holy Mother's stay at Madurai, she and her party saw the huge palace of Tirumala
Nayaka.
Thank you, which is supported by 125 stone pillars. And again, some of these pillars, I don't know this one, but some of these pillars are so large that it's not possible to explain how they were put in place now. And also, oh, now you're going to have to help me again, Haima. And also
Teppakulam Lake.
Teplakam Lake, which is 1,000 by 950 feet. That's a sizable human-made lake. In the center,
Brother Shankara?
yes.
Just to share, Swami Brahmananda visited Meenakshi temple, the same temple in Madurai, and he was allowed to go inside the sanctorium. And he saw, and then he later on, and of course Ramakrishnananda was also with him later on, and he said the image became alive, and it came walking towards him and merged into him, and then he went into samadhi, and he could not walk; he had to carry it out.
I remember that story now. Yes.
So it's the same image.
Yes. Jai, Jai, Jai Ma. It came alive, walked toward him, and just to repeat what Shailesh just said, merged in him. He went into samadhi, lost all outer consciousness, and had to be carried from the building. So there's this lake, which is 1,000 by 950 feet. In the center of that lake, large lake, there's a beautiful temple on a small island. Seeing all these vast and magnificent temples and sites, the mother remarked, how wonderful is the Master's Leela. How wonderful is the Master's Leela. The play of the divine being creating all these remarkable places of worship and pilgrimage. The party left Madurai at noon by train and reached whatever that name is, station.
Mandapam station. Mandapam.
Madapam station.
Mandapam.
They crossed the strait by steamer and boarded another train at Panban,
Amban.
reaching Rameshwaram at 11 o'clock that night. So this was no incidental journey that they took even then. Nowadays, pilgrims can go to Rameshwaram directly by train or by car. Holy Mother was quite exhausted during this segment of the journey. I can imagine, this is very trying. Train, get on a ferry boat, go, Holy Mother was quite exhausted during this segment of the journey. By previous arrangement, the priest, what's his name? Gangaram Pitambar had rented a house in Rameshwaram for the mother and her companions. They rested that night, and the next day they bathed in the Indian Ocean and then went to worship Lord Rameshwar Shiva in the temple. According to the Rameshwaram Sitala Purana, is that right?
Stala Purana.
Stala Purana, Rameshwaram Stala Purana, Ramachandra incurred a sin by killing the demon king Ravana, a great devotee of Shiva who was born to the great Brahmin sage Vishwarvas. Some rishis advised Rama to worship Lord Shiva within an auspicious time to expiate the sin of killing a Brahmin. Rama asked his devotee Hanuman to bring a Shiva linga from Varanasi, but Hanuman did not arrive within the stipulated time. So Sita hurriedly made an image of Shiva with sand. Rama worshipped this image. The name of the image is Ramalingam or Rameshwara, the Lord of Rama. When Hanuman brought his image, Rama installed it next to the first one, and it is called Vishwalingam. To reward Hanuman for his devotion, Rama told him that rituals would be performed first to the image he had brought. This made Hanuman happy. Hanuman, I'm going to tell a story about Krishna. Hanuman is ever living. Hanuman is always with us on earth, we're told. And when Krishna was king, and now I don't remember the name of his queen. In any case, they were told by an attendant, "Oh, Hanuman is coming. Hanuman is coming to see you." And so Krishna said, Hanuman won't be happy to see us in this form. We'll have to take the forms of Rama and Sita. And so they did for this. This is the story that Krishna and his queen Rukmini, Krishna and Rukmini assumed the forms of Rama and Sita for Hanuman's visit to make him happy. So Hanuman's devotion, this is a lesson to us, isn't it? Hanuman's devotion is much rewarded. So that's that story. And we've got just a few minutes left before the hour. We can take it up there next week. Are there any comments or questions before we close this evening?
Mother's travel brings memories of our childhood, traveling in trains and rickshaws and all the horse buggies. And it's so pleasurable, even though it was very primitive. It's just amazingly, we loved it. I loved it when I was young.
Of course, as a child, we don't know.
I missed the car.
It's just fun to go and do things with our parents, particularly if they're having fun.
Exactly.
It's always wonderful to enjoy those kinds of expeditions, and when you're a child, it's such an adventure to ride in some new conveyance or go to some new place. And Mother was childlike like that. Like
yes.
She was in other places. Some things are said about her exclamations here and there. Thank you, Haima.
Sure, brother.
Anything else?
Brother Shankara?
Yes, Swayam.
My older siblings, they grew up around those places that Holy Mother visited: Mandapam, Shivaganga, Rameshwaram. By the time I was born, my family had shifted to Mumbai, so I didn't get to experience that. But most of them, their childhood was spent in those places.
What holy precincts! And again, of course, as children, we don't know anything about holy precincts. We're told, we may have some sense or feeling of it, but we only know what we're told by the adults. We just take it for granted. When I was just a child, 4 and 5 years old, being taken to very nice churches, various places, it was just taken for granted. Very sweet, but nothing. Yeah. Anything else from anyone? Thank you, Swayam. Blessings on your older siblings. Well, we have just one more minute. I hope we can, in these glimpses of Mother as taking delight in these holy places, and also blessing these places by her presence. I hope we can all just hold that to our hearts and think of Mother as right here, right now, that being who built that Shiva lingam of sand for Rama to worship. When Mother saw it, she said, "Oh, it's just as it was." So if we can just dissolve the distance, the separation, in our imagination by taking a stand for it, then what happens is slowly and slowly these things take real shape within us, and these beings become a reality for us. In whatever way, each of us, it happens for each of us uniquely. It's not like there's some cookie cutter or rubber stamp, and you'll receive the mother this way or that way. Or no, your devotion, your heart, your unique being will find the form or formless aspect of the divine that delights and satisfies you. And that we're told over and over by the Master and by Mother and by Jesus Christ and others, just ask, just ask. Don't be shy. As a matter of fact, Sri Ramakrishna says, be demanding. These are your parents. You can ask them. You can demand of them. These are your parents. So any final words or thoughts from anyone? All right, well, we read a lot tonight. Read a lot of story of Mother's pilgrimage to the south. How beautiful. But remember that it started with her saying that she sees the Master everywhere and in everything, even in the ant that Radu was about to kill. And so this is something else for us to hold to our heart. Whether or not it's a reality for us now, if we hold it to our hearts, hold those ideas to our hearts, it can become a reality for us. Perfect, whom lust could not taint, nor passion nor gold draw near. O Master of all who renounce, fill our hearts full of love for Thee. Thou hast finished with fear and with doubt, standing firm in the vision of God, refuge to all who have cast fame, fortune, and friends away. Without question thou shelterest us, and the world's great sea in its wrath seems shrunk to the puddle that fills a hoofprint in the clay. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May you go in Mother's loving and protective embrace. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. Good night, everyone. Until tomorrow night, for
Thank
those
you.
of you who join us.
Night, Brother Shankara.
Good
Bye-bye.
night, everyone.
Thank
Good night.
Yeah.